She said, "You're boring in conversation. I fall asleep when you talk." I agreed. I've noticed. Then I stopped talking entirely for 2 weeks straight. Her breakdown at dinner when the waiter asked if we were okay, and I just shrugged. Original post. I, 31 male, have been with Jessica, 29, for 4 years, living together for 2. Last month, she dropped this bomb during what I thought was a normal conversation about my day at work. I was telling her about a new project implementation at my IT firm. Yeah, database stuff. Not exactly thrilling, but it's my job, when she just cut me off mid-sentence. "God, Derek, you're so boring in conversation. I literally fall asleep when you talk. It's like listening to white noise." I stopped mid-word, just stared at her. She was scrolling through her phone, not even looking at me. "I'm serious," she continued. "Your voice just drones on and on about the most mundane crap. No wonder people at parties drift away when you start talking." That last bit hit different. I'd noticed people doing that, but thought I was being paranoid. "Okay," I said. "I've noticed." She looked up, probably expecting an argument or me to get defensive. Instead, I just nodded and went to the bedroom. Made a decision right there. If my voice was that unbearable, she wouldn't have to hear it anymore. Starting that next morning, I stopped talking to her completely. Not a word. She asked what I wanted for breakfast. I pointed to the eggs. She asked about weekend plans. I texted her from the couch. Busy Saturday, free Sunday. She tried to start conversations. I'd nod, shrug, or leave the room. At first, she seemed relieved. Even made jokes to her sister Megan on speakerphone about how Derek finally got the hint about his boring stories. Laughed about the blessed silence. Day 3, she started getting irritated. "This is childish, Derek. Use your words." I texted her. "You said my words put you to sleep, being considerate." Day 5, she tried being sweet, made my favorite dinner, wore that dress I like. "Baby, I miss talking to you." I smiled, kissed her forehead, and continued eating in silence. Week 2 is when she started cracking, following me room to room. "This is abusive. The silent treatment is emotional manipulation." I pulled up her Instagram where she'd posted just days before. "When he finally stops talking. Peace at last, quiet boyfriend." She grabbed my phone. "That was a joke," I shrugged. The breaking point came at her favorite restaurant. Reservation she'd made weeks ago for her promotion celebration. Her parents were supposed to come but canceled last minute, so it was just us. The waiter kept coming back, clearly uncomfortable with the atmosphere. I'd point at menu items, nod, smile at him. Jessica was trying to act normal, talking enough for both of us, but her voice was getting higher, more strained. "So Derek's been working on this huge project," she told the waiter desperately. "Tell him about your project, honey." I shook my head, took a sip of water. The poor waiter looked between us. "Is everything okay here?" I shrugged. Jessica's face went red, then white. Then she just broke. "Everything is not okay. He hasn't spoken to me in 2 weeks because I said one mean thing. This is insane." "Derek, talk to me." The entire restaurant was staring. She was crying now, mascara running. "I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry I said you were boring." "You're not boring. I love your stories. Please, just say something." I looked at her for a long moment. Then I turned to the waiter. "I'll have the salmon, medium, side of asparagus." My voice was rusty from 2 weeks of complete silence. The waiter scribbled quickly and basically ran away. Jessica stared at me. "That's it? That's all you're gonna say?" "You said my conversation was boring, so I stopped having them with you." "For 2 weeks? You seemed happy about it on Instagram." She grabbed her purse and stormed out. I finished my dinner alone. The salmon was excellent. That was 3 days ago. She's staying with Megan. I've gotten about 20 texts ranging from "I hate you" to "Please can we talk" to "You're a psychopath." My buddy Tom thinks I went too far. My brother thinks it's hilarious. I just think if someone tells you that your voice is unbearable and your stories put them to sleep, believing them and acting accordingly is just logical. Am I the bad guy here? Update 1 week later. Okay, so things escalated in ways I didn't expect. After the restaurant incident, Jessica went full nuclear on social media. Posted this long thing about emotional abuse and narcissistic partners. Didn't name me directly, but all our mutual friends knew. Got texts from people I hadn't heard from in years asking if I was okay, or telling me I was a monster. Whatever, I figured she'd cool down. Then Thursday, I came home to find Jessica in the apartment with Megan and their mom, Patricia. They were packing her stuff. Fine by me. Saved me the awkward conversation about her moving out. But then Patricia started in on me. Derek, you need therapy. What you did was sick. I just looked at her. Silent treatment is abuse. You traumatized my daughter. I pulled out my phone and typed a note, showed it to her. Jessica said my voice was boring and put her to sleep. I was being considerate by not subjecting her to it. Patricia snatched my phone. Stop this. You're a grown man. Use your words. Okay, I said. Your daughter told me my voice was like white noise, that I bore people, that parties are better when I shut up. So I did. How is giving her exactly what she asked for abuse? Megan jumped in. She didn't mean it literally. Then she should have said that, instead of doubling down and posting about how peaceful her life was without my boring stories. Jessica finally spoke up. I said I was sorry. No, I corrected. You said you were sorry after you got embarrassed in public. You were happy about my silence for nearly 2 weeks. You bragged about it online. It was a joke. Was it funny when you told me people at parties drift away when I talk? Was that a joke too? Silence. That's what I thought. Patricia tried again. Relationships require forgiveness, Derek. They also require respect. She didn't respect me enough to engage with my conversations, so I stopped having them. For 2 weeks. She seemed to prefer it that way for most of those 2 weeks. They finished packing while I sat in the living room. As they were leaving, Jessica stopped at the door. You know what? You are boring, but at least before I thought you were also kind. Now I know you're just boring and petty. Okay. She slammed the door. 20 minutes later, I got a Venmo request from her for half the rent. I declined it and sent her a message. You moved out voluntarily, not paying rent for a place you don't live in. She sent back. I was driven out by your abuse. I screenshotted her Instagram posts about how happy she was with my silence and sent them back. Driven out by giving you what you publicly celebrated, she blocked me. But here's where it gets weird. Yesterday, I got a call from her dad, Robert. We'd always gotten along pretty well. Derek, what really happened? I told him everything. The initial insult, my response, her social media posts, the restaurant. Long pause. Patricia says you emotionally abused Jessica. I stopped talking because Jessica said my voice bored her to sleep. For 2 weeks? She was posting about how happy it made her. Why would I start talking again? Another pause. Then he chuckled. You know what? Good for you. She's been princess of the universe too long. Patricia enables her. Robert? No, I'm serious. Jessica called me crying about how you wouldn't talk to her, but when I asked why, she kept changing the story. First you were mad about constructive criticism, then it was just a joke, then you were controlling. The story kept shifting. I just gave her what she asked for. And she couldn't handle getting what she wanted. Classic Jessica. She did the same thing to her ex, told him he was too emotional, so he stopped sharing feelings with her. Then she complained he was distant. This was news to me. Look, he continued, I love my daughter, but she needs to learn that words have consequences. You didn't yell, didn't call names, didn't do anything except stop doing the things she complained about. If that breaks her, that's on her. We talked a bit more. He mentioned that Jessica was already on dating apps, showing Megan matches and saying she needed someone more exciting. Give it 2 months, Robert said. She'll realize that boring and stable isn't the worst thing. But don't take her back. Wasn't planning on it. Here's the thing. I'm already feeling better. I joined a D&D group. Yeah, peak boring I know, and everyone seems engaged when I talk about character builds and campaign stories. Started going to trivia nights at a local bar. Turns out, people actually like my random knowledge about random stuff. My apartment is quieter now, but it's a good quiet. Not the walking on eggshells wondering if I'm being too boring quiet. Oh, and plot twist. Got a text from Megan last night. Jess is driving me crazy talking non-stop about her feelings. I get why you went silent now. She literally never shuts up about herself. How did you last 4 years? I didn't reply, but I did laugh. Update 2. 3 weeks later. So, the entitlement reached levels I didn't think were possible. Remember how Jessica blocked me everywhere? Well, that lasted about a week after my last update. Then came the text barrage from a new number. We need to talk about apartment stuff. You're being petty about the rent. I have mail there. My name is on the lease too. That last one was interesting because while her name was on the lease, she'd also texted me that she was never setting foot in that prison again. I screenshot everything these days. I replied once, mail is in a box in the lobby. You removed yourself from the apartment. I was forced out by your silence. I didn't respond. Then things got dumb. She somehow convinced our landlord that I was preventing her from accessing her legal residence. Mr. Peterson called me, confused. Derek, Jessica says you changed the locks? No, Mr. Peterson, she moved out 3 weeks ago, dramatically, with her mother and sister. I have security footage from the lobby of them carrying boxes. Oh, she said you were denying her access. She said she was never coming back here. Now she wants me to pay her rent for an apartment she abandoned? He sighed. I'll handle it. Apparently, handling it meant telling Jessica she couldn't have it both ways. Either she lived there and paid rent, or she didn't. She chose didn't. Brightsid. But then came the real entertainment. Last Tuesday, I was at trivia night with my D&D group. We came in second, when Jessica walked in with some dude. Tall, lots of hair product, laughing way too loud at everything she said. She saw me and made sure to sit where I could see them. Whatever. I focused on crushing the science category, but she kept escalating. Loud conversations about how some people are just so interesting and it's so nice to date someone with actual stories. The guy was eating it up, trying to one-up every story with his own boring tales about his gym routine. During the music round, she came over. Hey, I looked up from my answer sheet. This is Brad. Brad, this is my ex who didn't speak to me for 2 weeks because I gave him constructive criticism. Brad tried to look tough. Sounds pretty weak, bro. I looked at him, then at her, then back at my sheet where I was writing the answer to a question about 80s music. Your turn, my teammate said. I stood up and walked past them to submit our answers. When I came back, they were still standing there. Seriously? Jessica said. You're doing it again? Doing what? I asked, sitting back down. The silent treatment. I responded to your boyfriend. I said nothing because I have nothing to say to someone who thinks my voice is like white noise. Brad stepped forward. You need to apologize to her. I actually laughed. For what? Not boring her with my conversation? For emotional abuse. Define emotional abuse, I said. He looked confused. Go on, you're accusing me of it. Define it. Jessica jumped in. You know what you did. I stopped talking because you said my voice put you to sleep. You celebrated it online. You were happy for 2 weeks. Then you got embarrassed in public. That's what I did. My whole team was watching now. So was half the bar. You're such an asshole, she hissed. Maybe, but at least I'm a quiet one. That's what you wanted, right? Brad tried again. Real men don't act like children. One of my teammates, Sarah, suddenly spoke up. Real men also don't insert themselves into other people's relationships. Who even are you? I'm her boyfriend. Of 3 days, Jessica admitted quietly. The whole table went, ooh, like we were in middle school. Sarah continued. So you've known her 3 days and you're here fighting her battles? Dude, run. Jessica's face went red. We're leaving. Good luck, Brad, I called out. Fair warning, she thinks everyone's stories are boring, even yours. He looked confused. Jessica dragged him away. But here's the best part. Yesterday I got a LinkedIn message from Brad. Hey man, you were right. She spent our entire last date telling me my stories about traveling were basic and that I talked too much about myself. Then she talked for 2 hours about her ex, you, and how damaged she is from your abuse. I'm out. Sorry for the bar thing. I didn't reply, but I did screenshot it. Then, this morning, the nuclear option. Jessica's mom, Patricia, called from Jessica's phone. Derek, she's not eating. She's depressed. You've broken her. Patricia, she's a grown woman who insulted me, got what she asked for, and couldn't handle it. She misses you. She misses having someone to criticize. That's not fair. Neither was calling me boring and telling me people avoid me at parties. She didn't mean it. Then she should have said that when I first went quiet, not after 2 weeks of celebrating it online. You're destroying her. No, I'm living my life. She's dealing with the consequences of her words. She'll apologize. I don't want an apology. I want to be left alone, like she was so happy about in week 1. You're going to regret this. I regret wasting 4 years with someone who thought so little of me. She hung up. 20 minutes later, got a text from Robert, Jessica's dad. Patricia's on a warpath. Stand your ground. Jessica needs to learn. Also, heard you joined a D&D group. What class you playing? I'm playing a bard, ironically. The guy who tells all the stories. Life's actually pretty good. Quiet, but good. And you know what? The people who actually want to hear my voice seem to enjoy my boring stories about database management and random trivia. Funny how that works. Final update, 2 months later. This is probably my last update because, honestly, there's not much drama left. Just the sad, pathetic end of someone who couldn't handle getting exactly what she asked for. About a month ago, Jessica started a blog. Yeah, a whole blog about surviving emotional abuse, where she detailed our relationship with creative edits. According to her posts, I was a silent, brooding presence who controlled her through manipulation. No mention of her calling me boring or celebrating my silence online, obviously. She must have forgotten that we have mutual friends who were there for the actual events. The blog lasted about 2 weeks before the comments section destroyed her. Someone even posted screenshots of her blessed silence Instagram posts. She deleted everything. Then came the performance art level of entitlement. I was at the grocery store, minding my business in the cereal aisle, when I heard a loud, theatrical gasp. There was Jessica with some new guy. Let's call him victim number 3. Oh my God, Trevor, that's him, the one I told you about. I kept looking at cereal, she stage whispered. He traumatized me with his silence. I can't be here. But instead of leaving, she got closer. Trevor, protect me. Poor Trevor looked like he wanted to disappear. Jess, he's just buying cereal. You don't understand the psychological damage he inflicted. I picked up my Honey Nut Cheerios and started walking. She followed. 2 weeks, Trevor? He didn't speak for 2 weeks. I stopped, turned to Trevor. She told me my voice was like white noise and that I bored people to sleep. So I stopped talking. She posted online about how happy it made her. Then got mad when I wouldn't stop being silent. Trevor looked at Jessica. Is that true? He's twisting it. I pulled out my phone, showed him one of her Instagram screenshots I'd saved. The piece at last one. Trevor read it. His face changed. Jess, this says you were happy about it. It was a joke. I shrugged and walked away. Heard them arguing all the way to checkout. A week later, Megan texted me. Jessica is now saying you stalked her at the grocery store. Also, Trevor dumped her. She spent the last 3 days at my place crying about how all men are trash. I'm about to lose it. How is this my life? I didn't respond, but I felt for Megan. The last straw came 2 weeks ago. Jessica somehow got my work email and sent a long, rambling message to my boss about how I was an emotionally unstable individual who might snap at any moment because of my tendency toward punitive silence. My boss, Dennis, called me into his office. I was nervous until I saw he was trying not to laugh. Derek, you want to explain this? He turned his monitor toward me. I read the email. It was unhinged. 3 pages about my abnormal behavior and how I was a danger to workplace communication. That's my ex, I said. She's upset that I stopped talking to her after she said my voice was boring and put her to sleep. For how long? 2 weeks. Dennis actually laughed. That's actually hilarious. Also irrelevant to your job. You communicate fine here. I'm forwarding this to HR in case she escalates, but maybe consider a restraining order. Already thinking about it. That night, Robert called me. Derek, I'm sorry. Patricia showed me Jessica's email to your work. That crosses a line. Yeah, it does. I've told her if she contacts you again, I'm cutting off her phone plan and car insurance. She's 29, for Christ's sake, acting like a teenager. Thanks, Robert. By the way, Jessica's in therapy now. Not real therapy. Some life coach she found on TikTok who's telling her she's an empath traumatized by narcissists. I actually snorted. Yeah, he continued. Patricia's buying into it. I'm considering divorce at this point. This whole thing has shown me how toxic they both are. You dodged a bullet, son. Maybe I did. Yesterday was the final straw. Not from Jessica, but from Patricia. She showed up at my apartment building, waiting in the lobby. We need to talk. No, we don't. Jessica is broken because of you. Jessica is broken because she insulted me. I believed her, and she couldn't handle getting what she asked for. You're a monster. The building security guard, Tony, stepped in. Ma'am, is this resident bothering you? No, she's bothering me, I said. Patricia turned on Tony. This man destroyed my daughter. Tony, who'd seen the whole Jessica moving out drama on the security cameras, just said, "Ma'am, you need to leave or I'm calling the police." She left, screaming about lawsuits and karma. I've since filed for a restraining order against both Jessica and Patricia. My lawyer says the work email alone makes it a slam dunk. The funniest part? My D&D group has become my core friend group. Sarah from the trivia team and I have started hanging out more. Turns out she thinks my database stories are fascinating because she's a data analyst. We spent last Friday night discussing SQL optimization over beers, and she didn't fall asleep once. I'm not saying we're dating, but we're something. And she actually laughs at my boring jokes. Last I heard through the grapevine, Jessica was dating some influencer wannabe who only talks about his follower count. Megan sent me one text. She says he's fascinating. He's shown her his analytics dashboard 17 times. This is karma. I'm done with this chapter. The woman who said my voice put her to sleep has spent 3 months screaming into the void about how my silence ruined her. The irony isn't lost on me. To anyone reading this who's been told they're too boring, or too much, or not enough, maybe you're just with the wrong person. Find people who actually want to hear your voice, even when you're talking about mundane stuff. Because it turns out I wasn't boring. I was just with someone who didn't care enough to listen. And you know what? Her loss. My D&D campaign stories are epic.